North Guerrillas by John Bolloten. 76 pages, 74 colour photographs, card cover, published in January 2022 by Shutter Publications, which is John's own publishing house. The narrative of the book is basically about these two guys who set up, I would say illegal, but obviously they are illegal sort of outdoor growing spaces for cannabis. This book just charts the year in the life of the guys, I guess. Day in the life, year in the life. It just covers their activities in growing the cannabis and what they get up to and the logistics of it all and stuff like that. I have to say, I love it. I think it's a beautifully executed book. Now I'll just skim into it. North Guerrillas have got their own YouTube site, so you can check them out. I'll put a link their YouTube account. I love it. I think the book's really layered. I have a sort of idea of the process and what they're going on, not in cannabis growing, but in and what's going on in the book and the narrative. That's the opening shot. I'll just go back to that. So we'll just start here. Now, yeah, it might be about some two guys growing cannabis plants up in Yorkshire, but it's really quite a layered book. Now, first of all, maybe to cut any negative connotations on this book, these guys are not dealers or sellers. These guys are doing it for their own use. They're smokers. So they're not doing this for any financial gain in the sense of selling out to the public or whoever. They're doing it because of their passion for smoking. They're literally, I think, urban horticulturists, really. And I've listened to these guys talk, and these guys really know what they're doing in terms of horticulture, in terms of starting these plants off and growing them and their system and their process and the lengths they go to get their plants, basically. This book charts like a year in the life of their logistics and their activities. And John's done it in a very tongue-in-cheek way as well. He's a bit cheeky. And I find that really interesting. Like I said, it's incredibly well shot. There's some of the shots are very descriptive of what's going on. But stuff like this, I just find hilarious. I think it's really clever. Obviously, with something like this, in the nature of it, John has to have the trust of these guys, and they have to have the trust of John as well, because John's not in it to give anything away. John's trying to document sort of parts of life we don't see every day, and he does a great job of it. And it's actually quite nice seeing him shoot in colour as well. Now, I love this. I think it's hilarious. I'm just going to drop it down. They obviously had some fun doing it as well, but actually this is quite important to what they're about. They are growing plants in places where they hope nobody will walk into or stumble across their little farms. I'm aware they have this quite intricate process of growing the plants, which I think comes back here, where they do a lot of home growing for the baby plants, and then they take it on and they condition the plants by taking them outside and then bringing them back indoors. And then when they feel the plants are ready, they will then pot them, or they will take them out onto a location. They'll find a location and they will pot them and then start the whole process of finding a space and getting the space full of their plants. Now, by any stretch of the imagination, because they're sort of doing this in a cloak and dagger sort of way, and it's under the radar of the police, I guess, and the public, that it is a logistical nightmare. So these guys, you know, like, they're growing plants not to put out on the market, just for their own use. It's a massive process, and they've obviously got a love of horticulture, I guess, but, you know, hats off to them. It's like they're just doing their thing, and they're not hurting anybody else by doing it. So I think John's done a really good job of this. I mean, just getting the detail and the process and getting out there all this time to just sort of be able to shoot it and create it and form a narrative structure with it. And the shots are all brilliantly exposed, you know, they're perfect in terms of clarity, and detail and stuff, you know. So obviously John's gone to great lengths to keep the identities covered. This shot here, I think, is they had a plot which was really in between like a road and a train line, and that was just a sort of daft gesture, to sort of say, you know, we're here, you're not. I get that with a finger, but actually they seem really good guys as well. So, and I think they're quite astute as well in terms of everything they do, and their knowledge base, doing what they do in such a fashion takes a lot of guts. But I just think John's, it's almost like some sort of South American drug cartel, isn't it? It's fantastic, but it's like North Yorkshire or somewhere. I think he's done a really good job getting this, and this here was a sticker which comes with it as well. That's the North Guerrillas. So you can see the boys have a lot of fun doing it. I'm sure they're pretty fit as well in terms of what they have to do to get the stuff and the plants and the water and all the things to the ground where they're making the cannabis and growing the cannabis. And it's quite risky as well. They lead such a risky life. But anyway, back to the pictures. I think they're superb. I really do. I really like this book. I think it's a clever way of showing something which we don't see every day, but also it's done in a nice, constructive way as well, if that makes any sense. It's sort of giving these guys this sort of, making the guys more human and fun. And this here is like a drone, and you can see the location to where they are. You can see the sort of how they're heading away. I guess, you know, they've got to watch out for things like police helicopters and stuff like that. But I just think John's done it in a really nice, fun way. And obviously it's quite a contentious issue or whatever you want to say, but it happens, and people like John are out there doing it, and these guys have let John in on it. And I think he's done a really good job of making a constructive photo document of it. One thing I'll say though, I think John's going to be set up for life with stock sales for this, as he needs to get this on a library, because they should keep him in suites for a very long time, these pictures. You just don't get this sort of access. And I think we need to appreciate that with John's work. We need to appreciate the fact that not many people get to see this, and then done it in such a detailed and focused way. And that he's turned what we would sort of guess is two guys who are making drugs, who you might look at sort of gangland gangsters, actually into two quite amenable guys who are obviously quite educated in horticulture, and the lengths of doing something like this and putting it together. So yeah, I think you should give this a look, buy it. It's pretty cheap. I think it's under £20 on John Bolloten's website, which I'll put the link for. I'll also put the link for North Guerrillas as well, so you can check them out. And just remember, if you're going to create a story and you're going to do something like this, look at things like this, get an idea of how things done. And actually what's important is how stuff's like presented, because when you're starting an idea for a long-term shoot, that you have an end result and you have a presentation, because when you have an end result for it, you can work backwards on the narrative and structuring the narrative to fit the final presentation, fit what you're trying to say at the end of the day. And that's important. I think this is brilliant. I'm looking forward to John's new book, his other book, his sort of collective works, which is coming out in 2022. And I've seen a bit of it and it looks amazing. So please check John's website out, check North Guerrillas, and just remember, sort of books like this are really hard to come by and really hard to do. And we need to sort of appreciate them. It doesn't matter what the subject matter is. Thank you. Please subscribe. Thank you for all your likes and your comments and your subscriptions and your support, both here and on Twitter. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Be safe.
We are floored, we are bound down. See us, careless corpse, see us, steal the dawn. See us born, see us wind down, see us fly